Welcome to Tuesday Tidbit. Hello, Resilience. I think we've had our helping already here at WEM, dealing with tech issues this morning. So thank you for your patience, everyone. And we are so looking forward to spending the next few moments with you talking about this amazing topic and one that is definitely needed in our world today. So, welcome. Thank you for finding the chat, hopping in. A big fat good morning. Isn't it so balmy out today compared to yesterday? Wowza. Remember that year it was colder on Mars? Or no, it was colder here than on Mars. Yes, sad face emoji, definitely. Freezing Thompson. Oh my goodness. I know my mommy called me from Thunder Bay. She's like, we're colder than you are, like by 1 degree. And then I remember yesterday seeing on the interwebs something about how in Manitoba we love, with regards to the weather, we love bragging about it and complaining about it simultaneously. So it's so true. Welcome. So great to have all of you here this morning. As a reminder, at WEM, we're helping people to develop essential skills that are needed for work, learning, and life. And we are found at wem.mb.ca. Our vision is that all Manitobans have access to the essential skills, knowledge, and training required to determine and pursue their goals related to learning, the workplace, and life. And hello, if resiliency isn't a topic that we could sprinkle everywhere, I don't know what topic is. Good morning, Leslie. Great to have you here. Good morning, Kevin. So good. Whoa. All right. So, as a reminder, my computer has a life of its own in this moment, so apologies, everybody. We are all about those 9 essential skills, and we provide training in a couple of ways. One is through our West Center Workplace Essential Skills Training Center. And so that's a drop in or book appointment. So far, right now, our centers are still closed because of you know what, Voldemort. However, we are anticipating an opening in the near future. Who isn't, right? We do offer some assistance with that, so feel free to contact us at our West Center. We still have staff working there. And of course, workplace training sessions like this could be brought to your workplace. And so we would love to do that virtually at this time. Now, those 9 essential skills: reading, writing, document use, digital literacy, numeracy, oral communication, working with others, thinking skills, and continuous learning. Wow, how does resiliency fit in with this? Well, I'm thinking of the bottom row here, our ability to work with others, our thinking skills, and choosing. We're going to talk about that in a moment, how we can make those choices in the way that we think and our thinking patterns, as well as continuous learning. So good. All right. So speaking of resiliency, I don't know about you, but I think of Thomas Edison. I think of any inventor, really. He said, I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work. How many of us can relate to this? That we haven't really failed. We've just found some ways and maybe some job opportunities that just didn't quite fit, right? They didn't quite work. The cool thing, Crystal, right? The cool thing about Thomas is that in spite of struggling with quote unquote failure throughout his entire working life, wow, he never let it get the best of him. How? What? We need to bottle that, right? All of these failures, which were reported to be in the tens of thousands, showed him how not to invent something. His resilience gave the world some of the most amazing inventions of the early 20th century. I think of that time and I'm just like, my mind is blown at how quickly things changed, right? And all because of perseverance and resiliency. Now we can take his story because it forces us to look at our own lives, right? Do we have the resilience we need to overcome our challenges? What are the stories we tell ourselves about ourselves? Do we let our failures derail our dreams? I think of a child, they're so frustrated and they're just bent over with that, and what do? Hey, you got this, you can do it. You think of a baby learning to walk. When they fall down, are we shouting, "Oh, dang baby, you totally fell. Look at you. Look at you on the floor." No, we're encouraging. So why do we do this for ourselves? Right? Why do we give ourselves that self-talk? Um, I'm sure some of you have heard of this. Have you ever taken a picture of yourself when you were a little one? I have this great one of me at the beach, and it looks like I'm screaming. I probably am. Um, and I look at that little girl and I think, what would I tell her? What would I say to her? What kind of words of encouragement? Because guess what? She's still here, right? She's still inside. And so would we shame a baby because it fell while walking? No. So let's not do that to ourselves, right? How could we accomplish if we had the strength, or what could we accomplish, I should say, if we had the strength to not give up? Hello, so many things. That's what I think of. Resiliency is our ability to adapt and bounce back when things don't go as planned. We may be able to think of someone right now in our lives that we have that as an example. They don't dwell on failures, they acknowledge the situation, learn from their mistakes, and move forward. And for some of us, that's the tricky part. Maybe we enjoy, wallowing, but if we truly have resiliency, we won't be doing that. I wanted to bring in some teachings here from a leading psychologist, Susan Kobasa. She said there are three elements that are essential to resilience. Number one is challenge, two, commitment, and three, personal control. And we're going to take a look at each one of these a bit more deeply. Resilient people view a difficulty as a challenge, not as a paralyzing event. Okay, just think about that for a second. They look at their failures and mistakes as lessons to be learned from and as opportunities for growth. Can we truly say that about ourselves, right? They don't view them as a negative reflection on their abilities or self-worth. And really, it does go back to this idea of what are the stories we're telling ourselves, right, about ourselves. Now, the second point was commitment. Resilient people are committed to their lives and their goals, and they have compelling reason to get out of bed in the morning. Commitment isn't just restricted to their work, they're committed in all parts of their lives, right? Their relationships, friendships, the causes they care about, and their religious or spiritual beliefs. And if you're joining us at 11, I have a new cause that I am very passionate about. And so I'll save that surprise for later. Personal control. Resilient people spend their time and energy focusing on situations and events that they have control over. Hello, pandemic. I think of how many people are wandering around right now unhinged because they feel a loss of control. But resilient people, they're going to spend the time on and energy on things they have control over because they put their efforts where they can have the most impact. They feel empowered and confident. And if you've ever been around a person like this, it's pretty contagious, right? They feel empowered. And so they end up kind of sharing that empowerment with others. Those who spend time worrying about uncontrollable events can often feel lost, helpless, and powerless. Oh, so true. Mm-mm-mm. Now, some other smart people. Leading psychologist Martin Seligman says the way that we explain setbacks to ourselves is also important, right? We've said this already today. What are the stories we're telling ourselves? Now, instead of resilience, he uses terms like optimism and pessimism, which is kind of nice, right? Easy to understand. He said that this explanatory style is made up of these three main elements. So, permanence, pervasiveness, and personalization. Ha ha ha. Can't wait, guys. Let's take a look at each one of these. So, permanence, people who are optimistic, therefore have more resilience, see the effects of bad events as temporary rather than permanent. For example, and everybody, I hope that we're taking a mental image of this. They might say, my boss didn't like the work I did on that project, rather than my boss never likes my work. Big difference, isn't there? Brilliant. I love this one so much. And I hope that we can all take a look at that and say, what's really going on here? What is the story I'm telling myself? And how can I turn it to be a bit more positive? Pervasiveness. Now, this means that resilient people don't let setbacks or bad events affect other unrelated areas of their lives. For example, they would say, I'm not very good at this rather than I'm no good at anything. Right? Up until now is another fantastic phrase that we should tuck in our back pocket, right? Up until now, I haven't done this or this or this, or up until now, this was my thinking. And in this moment, in this now, I'm changing the way I view things. So good. Now, the third point, personalization. People who have resilience don't blame themselves when bad events occur. Instead, they see other people or the circumstances as the cause. For example, they might say, I didn't get the support I needed to finish that project successfully, rather than I messed up that project because I can't do my job. So, noticing how we personalize things. Now, resilient people have a positive image of the future. Thumbs up if you are one of these folks, that you have a positive image of the future, that you can see that there are opportunities abounding, right? Having that positive outlook and envision a brighter days ahead. If not, why? Krista, thank you. Of course you try. I know you do. Resilient people have solid goals and a desire to achieve these goals. I think one thing we need to remind ourselves is, what is that saying? Someone help me out. I've managed to survive my bad days 100% of the time already, right? We've made it past those bad times. And so of course we have resiliency, we're here, but can we shape it? And can we shape that future in a more positive light? Those solid goals and a desire to achieve goals. Oof, so great. Now, what about this? Doesn't this sound familiar? Resilient people are empathetic and compassionate. However, they don't waste time worrying about what others think of them. So some of us might be putting our hands up. Yes, I'm empathetic. Yes, I'm compassionate. And then the hand starts to shake and come down when we think about the second. Are we wasting our time worrying about what others think of us? Maybe, right? Think about it in this way. We're maintaining healthy relationships, but we don't bow to peer pressure. And I think part of this really harkens back to our need to understand our core values, so that when those difficult times come, we are relying on our values. Resilient people never think of themselves as victims. Okay, let's just give that a moment of silence, all right? They focus their time and energy on changing the things that they have control over. Now, some of us are a bit more direct in that way that we do that in our communication, some of us less direct. But keep in mind that that energy and time needs to be focused on the things that we can change, not the things that we can't. Anybody else thinking of the serenity prayer right now? How we view adversity and stress strongly affects how we succeed. And this is one of the most significant reasons that having a resilient mindset is so important. Now, take a look a year ago. We had no clue what was coming our way. So that adversity and stress, the truth is, friends, we've been carrying that backpack for a long time. Now, never mind all the other things that come along with our everyday lives, relationships, job issues, like all of that stuff. And now we've loaded on this past year as well. So look at it that way, that we need to have that resilient mindset so that we can keep moving forward. The truth is, the hard truth, is that we're going to fail from time to time. Okay, that's just learning. Think about that baby learning to walk. What do we do with it? Right? It's an inevitable part of living that we make mistakes and occasionally fall flat on our faces. You know, that's what I find personally 3 a.m. is really great for. It's like, wow, what are all those crappy things I said today? What should I not have done? What did I do? You know, all of those things. But having that forgiveness for self helps us to become more resilient, and knowing that we can take those failures as, like Thomas Edison did, and find out all of the ways that we should not do something, right? We're just learning. And to have that growth mindset is so key. You think about that when we're teaching children, why do we not just carry that with ourselves? The only way to avoid this is to live a shuttered and meager existence. never trying anything new or taking a risk. And few of us want a life like that. Instead, isn't this a beautiful image? I love it. Instead, we should have the courage, which I don't know if you guys have noticed this theme, maybe it's just in my life. This word is coming up day after day after day. So I'm just going to pause on courage for 1 second and give thanks to our 7 sacred teachings of the grandfathers to say, as part of our 7 sacred teachings, that courage is one of those. And it's a gift from the bear. And to remember that that bear, that courage, the spirit of the bear will be with us as we seek it. So to go after our dreams, despite the very real risk that we'll fail in some way or another. Well, team, this is lagging big time. Thank you for your patience. Being resilient means that when we do fail, we bounce back. Right? We have the strength to learn the lessons we need to learn, and we can move on to bigger and better things. How many of you know this to be true in your life? That when you failed, you've actually bounced back. Now, maybe it wasn't in the timeline that you were hoping for. Maybe it wasn't with the exact same outcomes that you had dreamt of. But look at where you're at right now. All of the experiences we've had up until this exact moment have shaped us, have molded us to be who we are. Now, whether we perceive those experiences as good or bad, right, know that they are part of who you are and you are better because of them. Thanks, Krista. I believe that to be totally, totally true. And Rochelle, yes, success is just failure that didn't stay down. Oh, there's our matching tattoo moment, friends. Resilience gives us the power, right? It's power to overcome setbacks so that we can live the life we've always imagined. Now, that's great, right? Rah, rah, awesome. But now what? What do we do with this? Well, let me tell you. First off, let's all take a nap. We need to get sleep, guys. I was talking to my son this morning and he had mentioned that one of his friends messaged him back. They had a class this morning and his friend messaged him back at 1 in the morning. I'm like, these are babies. They need to be sleeping. And guess what? So do we, right? I don't know about you, but I do not function well when I haven't had a good sleep. Now, I know it's all practical gross, right? We should have just ended it on that last slide. Now, exercise, but it's cold out. There's so many things we can still do. We can go outside. Anybody in this Jack Frost challenge? I accidentally signed up to be outside 26 kilometers this week. Thank you. I'm not alone, right? So being able to get out there. We live in a climate where, we vary from -40 to +40. It's crazy. There is no bad weather, just bad clothing choices, right? Yes, definitely. Thank you for your comment. We have a private comment, so I appreciate that. I would be more than happy to talk about that. When you take care of your mind and body, you're better able to cope effectively with the challenges in your life. And this is so true. I know for myself, sometimes when I lack emotional intelligence, I'm like, wait a minute, am I hungry? Am I tired? Am I angry? Like, what's actually going on? And so, the more we're able to understand and manage ourselves, the better off we'll be at handling our resilience. Yeah, maybe you belong in Hawaii or something. Run on the treadmill, right? There are lots of options for us to be able to take care of ourselves. Now, what about thought awareness? We kind of touched on this earlier. Resilient people don't let negative thoughts derail their efforts. Instead, they consistently practice positive thinking. Now, truth be told, I kind of consider myself to be a positive thinker, but there are times when myself gets the best of myself. And so being able to have people around you as well that can help build you up. We need to listen how we're talking to ourselves when something goes wrong. And if you're finding you're making statements that are permanent, pervasive, or personalized, correct these thoughts in your mind. Tell the correct story. Learn from your mistakes and your failures. Every mistake has the power to teach you something important. So don't stop searching until you found the lesson in every situation. Maybe the lesson is to run the other way. I don't know. I can't tell you the answer for that because that's so personal. Choose to respond. Remember, we all experience bad days. We all go through our share of crises, but we have a choice in how we respond. We can choose to react negatively or in a panic, or we can choose to remain calm and logical to find a solution. Now, I know that this can be challenging. I know that sometimes, guilty, I get caught up in the drama of what's happening, right? Or I stirring a situation to make it worse. Because panic, wow, what happens there? We get all sorts of hormones going on, our brain kind of shuts off and we start spinning. And for a split second, it's kind of exciting. But what's the truth behind it? Dale Carnegie, like leadership guy, he said, "We are not creatures of logic, we are creatures of emotion." Daniel Goleman, in his many teachings on emotional intelligence, reminds us that our brain, our emotional brain, is responding to an event more quickly than the thinking brain. Now, if this is true as we look outward in our lives and in situations in the workplace, in our homes, in the community, how true is this when it affects us, when we're looking internally? Is my emotional brain running out of control here and I'm not allowing my thinking brain, those reasonable, rational judgments, to enter in? Am I too wrapped up in getting excited about crises and drama and all of that stuff to the point where I can no longer see what is actually true? These are tough questions to ask ourselves. And I don't know, you look on TV, right? What are we watching? Drama shows, right? Crisis things. Look at, oh, I won't say which shows, but I think there are a few of them. I could probably list 5 that I had to stop watching because it was just inviting so many negative feelings, so much anxiety being brought into my life for no good reason. But why? Because we become addicted to that feeling, to that anxiousness, the concern, and all of this. Anyway, you can tell I'm very passionate topic about that. Be mindful of what you're bringing into your body through media. I guess that's the point. Now, build your self-confidence. Remember, resilient people are confident. They know they're going to succeed eventually, despite the setbacks or stresses that they may be facing. Now, that confidence is internal, isn't it? It is helpful to have people to build you up, to have cheerleaders. I have several in my life for which I am very, very thankful. Just like motivation, though, sometimes we need to muster that up internally. Know that you're going to succeed eventually. Thomas Edison, tens of thousands, you guys, come on. What's a little mistake here and there? I think when we own our mistakes and we recognize them, it's a beautiful way of learning and moving forward. Now, I can easily argue the other side. I also believe wholeheartedly that we learn from our successes. Look at all the success that you've had so far. What have you learned from that? Maybe you've learned what jobs you enjoy more, maybe what your skills are, your talents, or where you would like to learn, um, maybe laterally as opposed to moving up the ladder. Maybe we're moving across in our jobs. But remember, build on your self-confidence always. Know that you're amazing. I believe that. I would love to sit down with each one of you and discuss this personally. Of course I would. Because I truly believe that there is greatness within each one of us. Now, as we're working on our resiliency, let's develop our strong relationships with our colleagues. I know that this is true in a lot of different workplaces that I've been in. You'll be more resistant to stress and you'll be happier in your role. Also, the more real friendships you develop, the more resilient you're going to be because you have a strong support network to fall back on. I look at our social medias. I am a partaker, I am a liver in the socials on many different platforms. And I looked at my Facebook the other day and I was like, do I really know 1,000 people? Like, how is this even possible? Are those all real friendships? Well, to be honest, there's a couple of girls that, I call them girls because we were girls at one point, who were pretty bully to me. So why do I have those people as friends? But what did that teach me? Hello, resiliency, right? Any of those adversities that we faced, we have built our resiliency. And finding your people, right? Your real friendships, the ones that are lasting, that are true, who love you despite knowing you. That's what I think of. Now, we also want to be flexible with compassion and empathy. Okay, this should be our focus. I firmly believe that every conversation should be led with empathy and curiosity. Resilient people understand that things change, that carefully made plans may occasionally need to be amended or even scrapped. How do we feel when this happens? Do we take it personally? Do we understand why someone might be scrapping plans or amending them or changing them? How do we handle that? Do we freak out? Do we write in our journal? Or do we suspend judgment and bring in some curiosity? I think that would be the better way when we consider resiliency. My lasting word here on resiliency, this would be on my hopes and dreams. May we have the strength and fortitude to overcome adversity and to keep on moving forward toward our dreams and goals. Have any of you set goals since January? Has anyone here set a goal at all this year yet, please? Anybody? Or do we have dreams at the very least? Yeah, if we haven't set our goals, let's do that. Let's find one goal to set. And maybe it's the goal to learn more about resiliency, or maybe it's a goal to write in our journal to recognize our own self awareness so that we can develop that emotional and social intelligence that is so needed as leaders as we go forth with our resiliency. I want to thank everybody for your comments today, your inquisitions, all of the things. This is a wonderful topic. If this is something that is of interest to you, please feel free to reach out. We would love to share this in your workplaces. You can find us at weminterlake.ca, and of course, all of our offerings are there as well. Take care, everybody. Go forth and be awesome.